Performance Solutions Africa was commissioned in April of 2019 by KST, now known as KST Trust, to implement the management, governance and instructional leadership program intervention in the AngloAmerican South Africa program. The program is funded by the different Anglo mining operations in these provinces, which is Mpumalanga, Limpopo and Northern Cape. It is really a strategy by Anglo, including the SIOC Community Development Trust, which says that they want to develop communities around their mining operations. PSA's role in the program is to strengthen and improve management practices of school management teams in all the participating schools, which is done through a very structured training and coaching activity. The coaching as well as the training has been done in a blended fashion, meaning that some of the coaching is actually face-to-face, happens on site at the schools, but also it does happen virtually, which is through online means. The training itself is delivered at different levels, so there is specific training which is designed for principals and deputies. There also is training designed for departmental heads as well as your senior teachers, and there's also training designed for your administrators as well as the MS officers. Now, circuit managers are a critical part of any intervention that touches SMTs in schools. So your circuit managers have also been always involved and invited to be part of those sessions that are conducted, especially for your principals and deputies. There are a number of management practices that we monitor: the school governance, the school management basics, curriculum management, teacher development, learner welfare, parental communication, and facilities and resources. Now, these management practices are taught through very structured workshops that we run, and thereafter the SMT coaches then visit the schools to support them in putting together very contextualized outputs in their particular schools. Amongst these 7 practices, there are 3 that we consider core to the program: school governance, school management basics, and curriculum management. For these practices to actually work in the schools, there are 3 key things. It's very important for the beneficiaries that are involved in the program to actually attend all of the coaching sessions, attend all of the training sessions. It's important for them to diligently develop the outputs that are linked to the workshops as well as implement them. And lastly, it's important for circuit managers who are supervisors of these participating schools to also be involved and support the SMT coach in resolving any challenges that the schools might be facing during the rollout of the program. Progress on these management practices that have been assessed is monitored every year as the program progresses. In addition to the management practices, another measurement that we've used to categorize schools was the Robert system, which means there were red flag schools, amber schools and green schools. The red flag schools meant that they typically have weaker leadership, conflict, relationship issues, and their management practices aren't established. The amber schools were typically your schools with relatively stable leadership, relationships were good, common understanding of the school's vision, and they were on their way to establishing good management practices. Whereas your green schools were stronger leadership schools, there's harmony and strong relationships within staff and SMT, and the management practices are well established. Now, the red flag schools have been given support during the year in 2020 to overcome their challenges. And when we revisited these categories at the end of 2020, the result was that across all schools, there were positive shifts. In other words, there was a reduction in the red flag schools. There were increases in both the amber and the green categories, some business units achieving more pronounced shifts than others. And this has been very encouraging indeed. During 2021, the team will be working to achieve more shifts, such as to have no schools remaining in the red flag categories. The schools that do remain in the red flag category right now at the end of 2020, there were reasons why those schools were there, and in many cases there had been joint intervention with KST and JET to resolve the issues that they face, and we're hoping for better shifts again at the end of 2021. So COVID-19 happened. It brought very huge challenges to the school community, to the schooling environment. It just then became so much more important for somebody to be there to support the principals, because they were not only dealing with their fears and their uncertainties, but it was also dealing with the uncertainties of their staff, the uncertainties of the learners, the uncertainties of the parents and the communities that they serve. So we had to quickly come up with something to say, how do we manage schools in a situation like that? So 2 modules were quickly developed. Those were titled Managing Schools Remotely, to say, as a management team, how do you make sure the school is pulled together even though we're not seeing each other? The second module was Managing Schools in Small Groups, because COVID meant that we've got a social distance and the classes had to be attended in small groups. So these modules were run virtually in terms of the workshops themselves. It also meant that they had to be coached and supported virtually. It was a steep learning curve, not only for the coaches, but so much so for the school management team members themselves, because they had to learn how to actually connect and hold meetings and hold workshops and hold coaching sessions through virtual means. Over time, we've been watching and reassessing how the management practices have shifted in the schools. So the very first time when we started the program in May of 2019, we went into all the schools, assessed the management practices, where the maturity was at, and we mapped that. What we then did is return to the schools and reassessed where the management practices were at that point. So we could see that in each and every one of the operations, there was a shift in management practices, which was a very pleasing result indeed. The level of commitment across all of the schools and across all of the SMT members varied. During November, we did this exercise, went to the schools and spoke to a few principals, spoke to department heads, as well as circuit managers, to hear what did they feel and what has changed in their lives as a result of this program.
I could not plan ahead, but now with this Superstart, I am definitely sure that I am able to plan. And as is now, it's almost the end of November. By October, class lists are ready, especially with the grade ones, because we started the admissions early for the grade ones. I'm ready for 2021 with my class lists. Allocation has been done for the educators. Allocation of subject has been done. And I'm ready for 2021. This program has assisted me with proper planning and planning ahead.
The school improvement plan, we could not do it. We did not know that it has 9 areas. But through this program, I managed to do a school improvement plan.
From starting to be in this position, I can say I've never been inducted. So it was really very much difficult and very much frustrating, because you wouldn't know what is really expected of you. But through ASA, we now understood, whereby when to hold meetings, why to hold meetings, what are the items to be covered in that meeting, to come up with a complete curriculum tracking, or we run the curriculum in the school.
I'm able to speak with the HODs. They know that their operational plans are supposed to be in place, and they submit all the dates and everything in time.
And service charter, we drew up a service charter which says that people should know what services as a school are we offering. So that one, it was one of my successes, things that I managed to do together with the SMT and also the staff.
Immediately after the workshop, I would run the workshop myself for the whole school and take all the educators through, and even other HODs, of which when we come to do it practically, it was very simple, and really teachers would see we are going to the classes, it's not just going to go and teach. We just also have to identify where the kids lack, or if the educator is lacking, how can we help?
Let me start by learners, because these are actually our most important people in the education fraternity. They were actually given tutors which assisted them. They were given some subject expert which also assisted them in those particular subjects. I will say that these learners, in terms of physics, actually there was no fear of attempting a mathematics problem or a physical science problem because of the tutors. This is the kind of support actually that was given to a school where there are some problems. So I would say our learners have benefited a lot.
This was our challenging year, the COVID-19. We managed to draw up a safety management plan, and we could do things easily when we reopened in June, and when all the grades reopened using is staggering. So we were able to do that.
2021 is a new normal for all of us. With this program, I remember when we were still at level 5, lockdown level 5, we were requested to come together as principal, and we were taught about managing schools remotely. I was able to speak to the parents, to speak to the HODs, to speak to everybody here at school. I was able to make sure that when the learners come to school and the teachers come to school, all systems are in place and everything is there. We even managed to get the bulk XMSs, which we did not have. And now I am able again to track the curriculum. All systems are in place. I'm supporting the staff. Everything is okay. This program really has assisted me a lot.
I have actually noted a very big difference in the management of those schools. The measures that the schools or the principals were taken through. By the end of 2019, they were taken through the superstat. They were ready with the timetables, the admission, the planning of the whole school. And also in terms of monitoring, the SMTs were given the tracking tools. Those tracking tools were easier to work with in comparison to the tools that I am using in the circuit. Also in terms of SASMs, the principals now are able to see, they are able to get into the program and check themselves what the problem is, and they are able to source the data, and the analysis of the data from SASMs as well has improved. The last one that I want to talk to, I have seen the confidence in principals coming back. I've seen them now being confident in executing their duties, which is assisting the schools. Also, the performance of the schools have improved.